Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism back with another live video for you today, this afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show. Happy you're here. It's Thursday, which means it's time for another interview or presentation style. Hopefully you've been watching the last few. We had Iru Landucci presenting the NASA Blue Beam project. If you missed any of those, we have part 1 through 4. Those are all on my channel, also on DLive, so find those, enjoy those. We also had an interview a few weeks ago with Josh Brown. That was on April 2nd, I think. He was is the author. There we go. He's the author of The Spiral Life, so people might want to check out that if you enjoy the interview. And today we've got another interview-style show, and happy to have my guest join me today. He is Swazers. Swazers, what's up?
How you doing, Jaron?
Doing great. Happy you're joining us. Interesting topic today in the world where everything going on. Hopefully people are realizing the importance for health. And this is not medical advice. First of all, we want to point that out, be clear about that. This is going to be, I guess you can call it health advice. You can give health advice. And that's really what Swazers is doing. And if people haven't seen yet, he actually already did kind of a presentation on this on Russian Vid's channel, so people may have already seen that. He talked about K2, the miracle vitamin, on a Russian Vid's live stream podcast, and that was on March 31st. And that was a great show. Awesome that you joined Russian Vids for one of his long podcasts, and you guys are on the same page with a lot of stuff, which I really appreciate. So that was awesome. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jaron. And I'd just like to give a quick shout out to Russian Vids. That guy has got the heart of a lion, if he's listening. And I was not expecting that show, and it's an absolute gift to be able to use established truthers like yourself and Russian Vids to try and spread this important, I think, very vitally important information. A little bit about myself. I like to think that I'm a kindred spirit. I'm a truther, and I believe that truths come in many different forms, whether it's flat Earth, whether it's our true cosmology, whether it's what our tyrannical, satanic, evil regime are doing with the masses at the moment, or alternatively, it's health. And I know you've some of your esteemed guests have covered the Germanic medicine, holistic health. I'm just a normal, regular guy. I'm not a professional medical person or anything like that. I'm just a man with a curiosity for life, similar to yourself, Jaron. And I like to get stuck in and do the research and find out whether or not there's a symbiotic relationship with these things which are healthy, natural, that can help us, assist us, make us stronger, give us better cognitive abilities, and stave off disease and illnesses, which, on a conspiratorial aspect.
Well, it doesn't take being conspiratorial I was going to say, it doesn't take being conspiratorial to realize that we need to protect people from big pharma, who are basically at their core drug dealers. These guys are, giving poison to patients. They're masking symptoms, and they are not correcting anything. Yeah. And, of course, that's how they make their money. And if you're not smart enough to see that, if you can't see that writing on the wall, then I really can't help you. So, this is why it's great to have some of these conversations. And just so people understand, too, which is great about this, Swazers doesn't even have a YouTube channel. So it's not like he's trying to promote his channel. On the screen, you do see his Twitter handle. That's if you want to try and reach out to him or if you want to contact him for any reason. We've actually talked in the past, and I didn't even realize that until today, that we talked a few years ago about a very important subject. So I know that you've been in the truth community for a long time, and I know you've got good things to say about it. So it's great to bring you aboard. But the other thing is to recognize is that we're not here making money. We're not trying to sell you a vitamin. I don't make any money if you buy vitamin K2. Swazers doesn't make any money if you buy vitamin K2, and we don't lose any money if you don't buy it. It's all about trying to reach out and provide healthy options. It's the same as when I did my live stream about how to distill drinking water and why I distill my drinking water. And in many of the other shows I've done, nobody's making any money off those. I don't make money when you buy a water distiller. What I'm simply trying to do is when things work in my life or in other people's lives and they are a benefit to people's health, I'm all about that. What's better than that? What's better than turning on YouTube and finding out ways that you can better your health? So I'm excited about this presentation. I don't know a lot about K2. I don't know a lot about K2 and K7, but I'm willing to learn. I did hear a lot of your podcast with Russian vids, and that's why I think it's going to be a great presentation, and people can take it or leave it. If you're not looking for this kind of advice, then you can go ahead and turn off the show now. It's not going to kill either one of us. We're still going to be here. We're still going to be presenting it. But again, if you want medical advice and you want to go to the doctor's office where Big Pharma will issue you drugs so that you can mask your symptoms, go right ahead. But if you're looking to better your health, and one of the ways that we've talked about doing that on this show, on the Friday Lounge, on Globebusters for a long time, is growing your own food, eating green leafy vegetables, eating fruits. This is where we get a lot of our vitamins. But again, in some cases we fall short, and that's why I think K2 is going to be important. And let me just show people here so that they know that we're not the only ones talking about it. Let me bring up just some other channels here. So this is a video that you can find, and this is a doctor. I forgot his name, whatever his name is, where he talks about K2, how it's an important supplement. And this is something you just don't hear about, and here's another guy. This is also Dr. Ladd McNamara talking about it. And as I scroll down on the screen here, if we look at the videos that are recommended on the right, there's lots of videos about K2. So NATO is one of the, I don't know if it's pronounced NATO or something, but I read about that. NATO, yeah. So there's a lot of people talking about it, but not enough. And obviously I'd never heard of it, so not enough people talking about it when it seems to have so many health benefits. I have never taken it. I do know Russian Vids takes it, correct?
Yeah, he's been on it now, I think, for about 6 months, Jaron.
Good. Yeah. And so my goal was I wanted to listen to the presentation and then make a decision from there. I want to decide whether or not I think I want to add it. And so far, what I've heard as of yet tells me I do want to add it, and it's got some miracle-like benefits, which I'm all for. Anything to improve my health and help me live a happier, healthier life. So anything I missed there that you want to talk about?
No, very succinct. I mean, this conspiratorial, by the way, forgive me, I'm English, and we've been known to be slightly sarcastic from time to time.
No problem. Yeah.
It's abject fact that Big Pharma want to kill us, not conspiratorial whatsoever.
Where are you in England?
I'm in the northwest in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Okay. Not too late there then, right? What is it? 8, 9 o'clock?
No. It's this is a really early show for me. Actually, this is great.
Good. All right. Great. Didn't want to bring you on. There's a couple people that I always ask to come on the show, and they're I asked them to come on Monday Raw, which is 6 p.m. Pacific time here, and they're always like, "That's like 3 a.m. here." I'm like, "Oh, never mind." Not trying to bring people onto the show at 3 a.m. You don't need to do that. So happy that this is a noontime show for us here on the Pacific, and not too late for you. So what else has been going on? I mean, if people are looking for the latest Corona hype, obviously, tune into the Friday Lounge tomorrow. I'm sure we'll discuss it a little bit, and people can get their fix on that. But what's going on where you're at as far as that goes?
Well, it's the same sort of thing as what's happening over where you guys are. Everyone's living in abject terror and fear.
Right.
And that's where they want people in the pen, in the sheep pen of fear. And people, unfortunately, Jaron, no matter how much we try and wake people up, I mean, you've been doing fantastic work for many, many years. No matter how much we try and wake people up, unfortunately, they go to the God, small g, which is the media, or one of the demigods, to worship at the altar of media and suck it all up like it's a McDonald's stick shake. And no matter how much you try and offer testimony to people out in the street, or if you're going for a hike or a walk and you just try and drop a few little truths, Agent Smith, unfortunately, always turns up and defends the system, the very system that wants to kill him. But thank God that there's a few of us left in the world that we think we've got a handle on what's going on. We're trying to connect the dots. We're using our collective resources and the systems that they use against us, we use for us. Hopefully we can just spread the word and try and it's fear which is the main enemy, in my opinion. Forget about whether or not there's a virus called corona. Fear and what Bob was saying the other week on your channel, Jeran, I subscribed to that idea and mentioned it in the Russian Bits podcast that collective consciousness can actually be a tangible thing manifest into reality, and God knows what they're trying to manifest through the collective fear of billions.
No, yeah, they're definitely trying to get people to welcome these ideas, and all the talk about vaccinations, of course, coming. And there's so much information out there about vaccines, and yet people are now calling for the needle, welcoming the needle. I've heard recently that we're not going to reopen this state or reopen that state until the vaccine is available. And so when you do that, when you say that just alone, then you have people clamoring for a vaccine. And so it's something that we haven't seen before, where now you're going to have people, especially if it's California, let's say, and all these people are out of work and they're already going to be doing anything they can to get back to work. And so if all of a sudden the media tells everybody, well, we can open the country when the vaccine is available, people will be dancing in the streets. They will be swinging from tree limbs in excitement when the vaccine is released and they can go get their vaccine so they can get back to making money.
Absolutely.
So it's just a manufactured situation that has the effects that the powers that be will excite over. So scary thoughts. You're not going to get me to take a vaccine. It's never going to happen.
No.
I have that skin barrier. You're not going to get me to take anything that's going to make these other people rich and powerful. It's just not going to happen. So when it comes to what we're going to be discussing today, it's a totally different topic. Vitamins can be purchased at GNC. They can be purchased on Amazon. They can be purchased online. Lots of places to get vitamins, and people realize that and should accept that there is some benefits to many different vitamins. And again, mostly every vitamin can be found in your food and in your diet. But with the way that they've controlled and completely destroyed the food supply to where people think now McDonald's or Burger King is considered dinner, or nutritionists, and they've got the nutrition facts on the menus at these fast food restaurants when you're basically eating plastic. It's just nonsense, and all these GMO created foods and processed foods. You certainly aren't getting what nature intended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, sorry, that's what they want, Jeran. They want us obese, dumbed down, and in a situation where if we wanted to fight back, we'd be too physically inept to do it. We wouldn't have the physical means to even put it. Not that I'm advocating fighting, but what I'm saying is they want us to just be willingly submissive to whatever doctrines of evil that they want to project into us.
Yeah, they certainly don't want us smart enough to recognize what's going on or to see through the veil. So with things like fluoridated water, being put out, this is what people are drinking. With the poisons that are sodas. I mean, come on. If people are wondering why they've got diabetes or why they've got other health issues, they need to realize that when you're drinking a can of high fructose corn syrup, this isn't going to be good for your health. But when you're drinking distilled water, when you're freshly squeezing orange juices or orange juice from oranges, these are the kind of things where you should be getting your vitamins. So I've had people ask me, Jeran, do you take vitamin C? Well, no, but I drink a shake every day with 2 oranges in it. So I feel like I'm getting my needed vitamins from some food, but there is some things that I might not be getting enough of, and K2 is probably one of them.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
do you want to go ahead and hit share your screen, and we can bring up your presentation? Let's see if I can get it up here.
So I'll just go to... Can you see that?
It usually might take a second. Hold on. Oops, I need to stop sharing mine. That's the problem. Okay, now go ahead and hit share screen, and I should be able to see it.
No problem. switch. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll share again. Sorry.
Yeah, try that. See if.
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing it yet.
There you go.
Okay, now we got it. So go ahead and start with slide 1 there. And as we already talked about it, but are you on slide 1, the disclaimer part? Or I'm seeing.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
There you go.
I just want to make sure we're on the right one. All right, cool. So I'll transition this over so people can check it out. But yeah, we always want to go through this disclaimer because otherwise we'll have our channel shut down. And by the way, I had another video removed. I keep having videos removed right and left. So if people are looking for like Raw number 202, which was called Social Distancing, has been deleted by YouTube. So catch these shows when you can because sometimes they don't last very long. But go ahead.
Yeah, definitely download and save them. So yeah, there's the disclaimer, guys. So have a read of that in your own time. Excuse me if I keep coughing. I suffer from a little bit of acid reflux, believe it or not, and I'm working on it with apple cider vinegar. So I've not got corona, guys, for the record. It's just a little bit of acid after I've had dinner. Just wanted to spread that out there. Right, so there's the disclaimer, and I'm not. Forgive me, this might not be the most glitzy presentation. I'm not used to doing this. I'm just a guy that's been doing research behind the scenes for several years, and then I had this knowledge that I'd personally come across, and I thought, well, who do I can't make a channel. I'll have about 3.5 views. Who do I know? Oh yeah, Jaron and Russian vids.
Right.
So reach out to you guys, and thanks so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it, by the way, Jaron.
No problem. And to everyone out there, this is something I've mentioned before, but if you are interested in giving some sort of presentation, even if you have a channel and you say, hey, I'm only getting 10, 20 views, but I think I have something important to present, reach out to me on Skype. You can just search for Jeranism Truth. 2 words, you'll find me, add friends or whatever, and then we'll talk basically on Skype, and you can present, to me what you want to present, and we'll go from there. So if you're interested in presenting something, doesn't matter the size of your channel. I don't care if you have a million subscribers. If there's something you want to present here, reach out, like Swazers did. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Katie, the miracle vitamin and improve your health naturally. I mean, if you want to talk about true pandemics and true epidemics, the biggest killers, one of the biggest killers in the world is cardiovascular disease and coronary artery disease. They kill, on estimate, 17 million people worldwide every year. And I believe that it is a preventable. I believe that it is that if we have the correct health and nutrition, we can prevent a lot of these deaths worldwide. So it is the leading cause of death in the United States, which is unbelievable. Apparently, there's 500 to 700,000 deaths a year related to CAD, coronary artery disease, and it's the #1 killer in people over 30, an age group of 35 and over. So it's a massive killer, but unfortunately, like anything with cancer and all the rest of it and chemo, it's also a massive money spinner. Statin medication, surgeries, the doctors that are controlled by big pharma, take your prescribed medication, beta blockers, etc., etc., etc. So I believe that if we take the correct steps in our nutrition, we can reduce it. But I mean, if you want to look at a true killer, guys, forget corona. Don't get scared by that. Get scared next time you're eating a quarter pounder with cheese at McDonald's, and think about your arteries. Also, as well, osteoporosis is, I call it a curse of the West, and I don't know if you guys realize.
We should.
Osteoporosis is.
We should.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we should real quick mention, because you're talking about the top causes of death, and yes, heart disease is #1. I believe cancer is #2, and #3 is, of course, medical malpractice. So just want to point that out, that in the United States, I think 300,000 people, I forgot the exact number, die from medical malpractice every year.
That's right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, they're really good at making people, healthy people going into a hospital and you're coming out in a body bag. I mean, that's a trick they've got down. And what do I know? I mean, conspiracy theorists. But absolutely. So coronary artery disease and vascular diseases are massive killers in men and women. The second one, Jaron, is well, not so much a massive killer, but affecting a healthy lifestyle and affecting quality of life is osteoporosis. And an interesting thing about osteoporosis is that it's 3 times more prevalent in women than it is in men. And osteoporosis, when I say a curse of the West, indigenous tribes, people that have natural, holistic diets, they eat what nature intended, they get plenty of sunshine, they have very strong mineral bone density, they have excellent teeth, and they have excellent bone health. And bone health is absolutely vital. You see the little old ladies walking around, they've lost 2 or 3 inches off the height, they have a crooked back, they've got really bad teeth, bleeding gums, suffering from a whole array of calcium deposition issues. When I say calcium deposition, it's when calcium is going into the body, but it's going into the incorrect places where it shouldn't be. And osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease and coronary artery disease are really calcium issues. Now, it's estimated that in the United States, in the world, by 2050, there'll be 6.26 million hip fractures, which is massive. It's absolutely huge. And just to hit on the point regarding why I think, not that I'm a medical expert, but why do I think that women is more prevalent in women by 3 times osteoporosis? Well, I don't know if you're aware, Jeren, but just the actual act of putting makeup on reduces your body's ability to produce vitamin D3 by 99% instantaneously.
Wow. Yeah, well, you're basically putting up a shield. You're creating a barrier.
Absolutely. So just to let you guys know, the sun is not the enemy. The sun is our friend. We need the sun. And like everything that comes via mainstream media, big pharma, these agendas that they manufacture these narratives because they want the masses to react a certain way. So you've got everyone now putting SPF 50 on, SPF 100, and it's drastically reducing people's ability to produce D3. D3 has multiple functions. One of its major functions in the human body is the absorption of calcium. With D3, you absorb 20 times more calcium than you would otherwise. So bone is a living tissue. The skeletal systems replaced, I think, something like once every 7 years. And bone health is absolutely integral with heart health, vascular health, vascular elasticity, and all the rest of it. Now, leading on to K2, very briefly, what is vitamin K2? Vitamin K2 is a micronutrient that is formed in the fermentation. Bacteria produce it like most of these micronutrients. It's formed in fermentation, and it's an absolute keen micronutrient that we absolutely need in the human body. It works synergistically with D3. It also works synergistically with other vitamins and minerals like magnesium, zinc, potassium, but specifically today we're talking about the synergy really between K2 and D3. Now, like you said earlier on, Jeren, the modern Western diet is designed to remove virtually every single nutrient that we need, every fat that we need, and everything that the body needs to function properly. I believe that the body is engineered so miraculously that we don't really need man-made medications. I'm not saying that I'm not saying don't take them if you really need them, but on the whole, you can maintain homeostasis in health to an excellent level if you are getting what you need. And specifically back to K2, what it does when it enters the body.
And just to make sure, it has nothing to do with K1. 2 totally different things, right?
No, I do apologize. K1 is K1 was discovered by a couple of scientists back in the 1940s. They actually got a Nobel Peace Prize. Doyce and Damsey, I think they were called. They discovered the coagulation. K1 is the same family, Jeren, and K1 is prevalent in leafy greens and those kind of vegetables. And the body needs K1 to do the blood coagulation process, yeah?
Okay.
And without K1, the blood can't clot. But I'm specifically talking about K2, MK7. The reason why it's called MK7 is because it's a menaquinone. That's the name of it, and it's got a 7-chain. It's a 7-chain enzyme, a 7-chain micronutrient. So that's the name of K2 MK7. So K1 is similar, and actually absorbing K1, the body does produce small amounts of K2, but we don't get nowhere near the amounts that we actually need.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
Now, yeah, so D3 and K2 work synergistically to direct calcium to the correct areas of the body. K2 is absolutely, if you think of an orchestra, K2 is the conductor, and D3 magnesium potassium, they're like the I don't know, the cellist and the violinist and things like that. So K2 is the director of traffic, saying, right, no, don't go over there, we need you over here, sort of thing. What it does is K2 MK7 specifically, it activates various proteins in the body. Now, when D3 is absorbed into the body, D3 is also responsible for something called gene expression. Gene expression is when specific little robots, as I call them, because I'm just a layman, so I just have to understand it in my own terms. So they make these little robot proteins, and there's two specific proteins that I'm talking about. One's called osteocalcin, and the other is GLA matrix, GLA matrix. So what K2 does, there's little tiny receptors on these proteins. It does something called carboxylation, and it activates these two specific proteins, which are absolutely key to the body's overall, especially vascular and health. I'll come to that in a moment, to the vascular health and the bone health of the human body. So what's interesting, though, is K2 is the only micronutrient that will do it. There is no other compound, man-made or God-made or nature-made or whatever you want to look at, however you want to look at it, that will activate these two key proteins. So there's a test that you can take. It's called undercarboxylated osteocalcin. And get this, Jaron, the figures are absolutely astounding. There's no direct test for K2 deficiency, really. It's very, very expensive, but you can test it. You can test the inactive form of osteocalcin. Now, they did it in the West, in the United States and in Europe, and the figures came back, and the total figures in all the thousands of people that had the test was 90% of the osteocalcin in the human body was undercarboxylated. In other words, it wasn't activated. Why? Because we have got massive K2 and D3 deficiencies. Right. So those proteins weren't allowed to be turned on. When these proteins are turned on, it's a miraculous thing. They get to work in the body. Osteocalcin is involved in creating high quality bone, teeth, dentin, jaw bones, your skeletal bone matrix, to reinforce and give you a better bone mineral density. And the GLA matrix protein is responsible in cleaning out the inner walls of the vascular system. So what actually happens is it sends out the little robots and it clears away the plaque and the calcium. It not only does it clear it out, make it smooth, it takes it away from those soft tissues, and then it plugs it back into where it should go. So it's quite miraculous, really, what it actually does. This is the whole deal with K2. You might have a fantastic diet, you might exercise, you might do everything right, but the body eventually, if you are deficient, you may start having issues with things like atherosclerosis, vascular flexibility. That is vascular stiffness is a key indicator in who's going to have a heart attack and who's going to have a thrombosis or who's going to have a stroke. So these This vitamin is very, very, very vital indeed. Now, sorry, I don't know if you wanted to say something. I think don't mean to go on like a broken record.
No, it sounds great, and yeah, I like what you're saying, and I think that it sounds important, definitely for sure.
Absolutely. Just before I go on to the next slide, Jaron, what I wanted to just mention briefly is heart attack in men.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I mean, I'm sure we all know someone who's had a heart attack. I certainly do, and I don't know if you're familiar with the widowmaker artery.
Heard of it? Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. You see, there's something called the LAD artery in the heart, and this is the reason why I'm talking about men. I'm not saying it doesn't affect women, but it's more prevalent in men. Now, if you get a blocked LAD artery in the heart, which is it stands for left anterior descending artery, they call it the widowmaker, and you don't need to be a genius to figure out why they call it the widowmaker. If you get a blocked LAD, right, and you're not at a hospital, your chances of survival of that event is 11%.
Right, it's almost always fatal.
Absolutely, hence the widowmaker. Now, why am I talking about blocked widowmakers and blocked arteries? Because over time, the arteries will calcify, blockages will occur. What actually happens in a heart attack? Well, there's different forms of heart attack. That's one version of a big killer in men over 35. Is if you're going to have blocked arteries, and the thing is, unless you're getting a calcium scan, the heart attack is the first and last symptom you'll ever know. It's the first and last symptom you'll ever know, because 11% survival rate from that. What I'm saying to the listeners out there is that there is a vitamin that you can take, which is proven in scientific studies, which I'll show you shortly, which is the best decalcifying thing that the body has got to combat calcification of the arteries. Now, people might say, yeah, but my doctor tells me it's LDL cholesterol that blocks the arteries. That's the narrative from Big Pharma, Jaron.
Right.
The narrative from Big Pharma is that it's LDL. Now, LDL, the good, the bad, there's no such thing as good and bad LDL, by the way. That's a narrative that they have created to instill fear and to make us believe a certain story, so they can sell their statins and make their billions and do all everything else that we know. Now, LDL does block arteries, correct, but what not many people realize is that it's mixed with calcium. It's mixed with calcium crystals, and when it mixes with calcium crystals, it becomes like a cement. It makes the arterial wall thin and brittle. Blood pressure increases because the vascular system becomes stiffer because of calcification. Blood pressure increases. So we're taking all these drugs that Big Pharma make to combat the symptoms and not address the underlying issue. K2, which I'll show you shortly, addresses the issue. It actually sends the cleanup crew in to actually clean out the arteries. What happens is, with a blockage in the vascular system, there'll be a rupture of the arterial wall, and then the body does its best to coagulate and stop the blockage. Unfortunately, bits of the blockage can break off, or parts of coagulated blood. They go to the heart, they go to the lungs, you have a heart attack, and the rest is history, as they say. So, just going on to the next slide. These are studies, and these are effects of what K2, best to be combined with D3, can actually do for you. Briefly, preventative health is the best form of medicine in my book, holistic health. The reason why preventative health is not pushed, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours as well, Jaron, is because there's no money in it.
Right.
There's no money in holistic medicine. There's no money in preventative health. No one's buying any drugs because people are healthy. They don't need them. So that is why you will struggle getting a scholarship. You'll struggle getting funding if you come out with the best information in the world. This is why, as truthers, we need to help each other and spread this information, because they won't do it for us, unfortunately. And basically, it's giving you what the body needs. And like I was saying earlier, the consequences of vitamin deficiencies can have morbid outcomes. and also a reduced quality to life as well. And this is why I'm banging the drum about what K2 does, and the key role it plays. Now, what if I told you that supplementing vitamin K2 can reduce cardiovascular death by 50%, can reduce arterial calcification by 50%, can reduce the risk of prostate cancer by 35%. It can also reduce the risk of acquiring diabetes by 20%. And get this, a reduction in all-cause mortality, which is death, by 25%. Pretty astounding, right, Jared?
Unbelievable, really. Yeah, and leave this slide up for a second just so people can read that again. That's unbelievable numbers there, and seems like they're all based on a pretty good study. And yeah, if you're right, because if you go now to the to the hospital, to the doctor, and they think you have clogged arteries, of course you're going to be given a ton of cholesterol and blood pressure medication. And again, these things are not going to cure you. They're going to keep you in the doctor, keep you spending money.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something, Jaron, right? And, this is more of a rhetorical statement because obviously you'll know this more than anybody. If Big Pharma came out tomorrow with a magic pill that could back these numbers up here, they could sell that for $1,000 a pill, and I guarantee you millions of people would buy it. They would buy it. These numbers here for the listeners are actual numbers from scientific studies. Let me give you a quick example. There was a scientific study called the Rotterdam study that was conducted a good 15, 20 years ago. It was on a population of 5,000 men and women, adults, Rotterdam, hence the Rotterdam study, and it was classed as a double-blind placebo experiment. So what that means is they've got half the population on a placebo, and they have half the population on K2. Now the dose, which is very interesting, was only 45 micrograms, which is a very, very low dose. So just remember that number, 45 micrograms. The population study went on for, I think, 20 years. At the end of it, the scientists, and there's links to all these, by the way, in the notes, Jeremy, there's links to all the studies so people can take the time and research it themselves. At the end of the 15, 20-year period, the study was that it reduced cardiovascular death by 50%, calcification 50%, and all-cause mortality by 25%. I'll take those odds all day long just by taking a vitamin pill.
Absolutely, especially, people know my mom just passed away in November due to heart failure. So you always see
I'm
this.
So sorry.
You kind of realize, wow, maybe too late for her, but certainly not too late for me, and these numbers are astounding.
Well, first of all, I'm very, very sorry about your mum. That's very sad news. And secondly, my mum, right, is a wonderful woman. I love her a lot. She's the most stubborn woman I've ever met. For many, let me tell you, I'm no doctor, but I've been learning about this stuff, and you begin to spot what's going wrong. Now, my mother is an example, right? She had bleeding gums. She had to have cataracts, a cataracts lasered a few years ago, and she was suffering from bursitis. Now, the more that I learned about K2 and the calcium conundrum, as we can call it, I thought, well, actually, my mum's got calcium deposition issues. Cataract is a problem with calcium, where calcium shouldn't be.
Right.
Bleeding gums is also a gingivitis, is a calcium issue, where it hardens the soft tissues of the gums and they become brittle and start to bleed. And she was having a whole host of issues. Now, my mum's in the 70s, so obviously, I'm a little bit concerned. I pleaded with her, Jaron, for six months, 7 months. Mum, just please take this vitamin. He said, no, son, the doctor's giving me what I need. I don't need your advice. You're not a doctor.
Right.
Anyway, like truthers, we carry on knocking until we get an answer. We can be stubborn individuals. So in the end, she started taking the vitamins. Now, it was a very low dose, D3 and K2. It's a 50 microgram dose. Now, prior to this, Jaron, she had her blood works done, and I said to her, Mum, you are vitamin D3 deficient. I'm telling you now, how would you know? She said. The test came back. She was 18% D3 in her entire body. She was extremely deficient in D3. A year from taking the medication, her blood pressure's dropped, her bleeding gums have stopped, her bursitis have abated, and she's feeling, she said, I'm not feeling any pains in my hips anymore, and she's bouncing around like she's 20 years younger.
Wow.
We have given her a correct D3, and the K2 is working tirelessly. She's also on a couple of other vitamins as well. And honestly, you can see it in her face, Jared. She looks younger. She's got more vitality. They've actually reduced some of the blood pressure medication. And I believe it's the D3 and the K2 and the other little bits and tweaks that I've been trying to do. So, you know, there's real stories out there. I mean, I've been on it for 3 years. I mean, I feel fantastic. I've just walked 100 miles I've hiked 100 miles in the past 9 days. I've set myself a little challenge to see if I can do it. And
Nice,
I feel
impressive.
great. You know, I've not been ill. I've not had a cold or a flu in a very, very long time now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I walk 2 miles a day, so you definitely are outpacing me. I gotta step it up a little.
Now, yeah, you're young. I've seen you. You look great. You're a young, handsome man. I've seen you. Don't lie to me, Jared.
No, I
Hey,
wouldn't go there. But I got a pregnant wife, so I can't. I don't think she can do 100 miles right now. But maybe soon.
Well, it was over a week and a half,
Okay.
not in one go. Now, one last point that I want to mention very briefly on this slide. There's something called cardiac output, right? So you can measure how efficient your heart is, right? And how they do it is how much blood does your heart push around your circulatory system with one beat. And that's called cardiac output. Now, something amazing that a lab in America called Microbiome Labs, and somewhere in Texas, the notes are all there, discovered that after supplementing K2 MK7 for only 8 weeks, something amazing happened with the cardiac output. It improved at resting heart by 13%. Now, just to give you guys an indication of what that actually means, and the reason why I really want to stress this point is everyone's getting paranoid about 5G and the lack of oxygen binding to the hemoglobin and the fear porn and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what, guys? Take K2 for 2 months because it'll give you 13% improved cardiac output. That means in a 24-hour period, your heart will push round an extra 900 litres of blood. 900 litres at 13%. That means that your body is getting more white blood cells, more nutrients, more oxygen, more vitamins, everything it needs to work more efficiently and more optimally. You can definitely feel it at the gym. I've had gains at the gym lifting weights, going on the heavy punch bag. I mean, I'm 47 years of age, and I feel pretty good for my age. And I put that down to the improved cardiac output. One last point.
What was that number again of how many? What was that number again of how much blood? Extra 13%.
900. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? 900 litres in 24 hours, Jared.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, because I think doesn't the human body only hold like 7 liters? I might be off.
Absolutely, but
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact. I think it's a little bit more for men and a little bit less for women. But the thing is, the heart. You would not believe the pressures involved.
Constantly moving it around. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think your main artery that runs down you has something like, I think there's something like 1,000 litres of blood every 5 minutes or something goes through that on its own, or something crazy like that.
So it's moving, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's moving. Now, taking a vitamin will give you an extra 9, and that's a resting heart. And get this, guys, yeah? When you're exercising, optimally, it'll give you 23% increased cardiac output, which is absolute phenomenal. It would take an elite athlete a year of intense training just to get a 13% increase. And that's called bioenergetics. It's a real science. It's provable, repeatable. It's empirical science. It's not pseudoscience. This is all real biology, real science. And that's what taking a vitamin pill can do for you.
Wow, that's astounding.
Yeah. It's profound, isn't it? It's profound. Now, there's more as well. There's more what K2 can also do as well. I mean, when I started learning all this information, I mean, it blew me away. I didn't believe it at first. I thought, surely not. But I've been researching this diligently for like the best part of 3 years, and I've cross-referenced. I've read all the studies, and these are real facts, which is why I wanted to reach out to your good self and Russian bids and try and spread the word. Now, a recent study has also shown with K2 that it reduced arterial stiffness in postmenopausal women, which is a game changer. Arterial stiffness, like I said earlier on, is an indicator of heart issues and vascular issues later down the line. Now, let alone it improves BMD, bone mineral density. This is a really interesting one, and I think you'll find very interesting, Jerry. Are you familiar with what mitochondria are?
Go ahead, tell me. Yes. Well.
Okay, as living beings, we're made up of cells. The human body has approximately 37 trillion cells
Right.
in the human body, which is a big number. It's further than looking out and trying to see the moon, right? That's a joke, by the way, a really bad one. But
I appreciate it.
250,000 miles away. I can see every detail. No, it's in the human body. We're made up of cells, and the cells work in collaboration with each other. We are a highly advanced. If you want to see advanced technology, look at the human body. There's no way we could have evolved. We have been created 100%.
Absolutely.
Now, inside every cell, we have it's like a city in a cell. There's loads of little things doing loads of little jobs. It's just unbelievable. If you could shrink down like that movie years ago, Inner Space, a cell is literally like its own universe, and like its own enclosed universe. Now, the power plants of the cell are called mitochondria, and they're called mitochondria organelles. And I don't know if you realise, Jaron, but there's a nickname for mitochondria. They call it the Eve gene. The reason why they call it the Eve gene is it's got a separate DNA, and you can actually track the Eve gene all the way back to a single common ancestor,
right,
which many people believe is literally Eve, but that's another story. Now, they did an experiment where they got multiple cells from a 95-year-old man, and they got multiple cells from a 4-year-old girl. Now, they put them through rigorous tests. And this is very, very interesting because this is the anti-aging effects of K2. They put them through multiple tests of a 95-year-old man, 4-year-old girl. And do you know what, Jaron? The only thing under a microscope that differentiates the age of a cell is the degradation, and how degraded the mitochondria has become. That is the only factor which tells you how old that cell is. Now, get this. K2 actually is proven to rejuvenate dying mitochondria, and also to let mitochondrial organelles exist longer, because cells have self-destruct mechanisms built into them. And it's been proven that K2 acts in something called the redox cycle. Without getting into science, the redox cycle is about ATP production. ATP is a very small molecule that powers cells and effectively powers the entire human body. Taking K2 has shown to increase ATP production and to rejuvenate mitochondria. And many people are calling K2 the elixir of life, the fountain of youth. This is unbelievable what's coming out of these studies.
So basically, if it rejuvenates the mitochondria, then that alone is the definition of anti-aging.
Absolutely. And the thing is as well, what a lot of people don't realize is that skin cells have a form of clay in them, actually. And taking K2 actually reduces this clay and improves skin elasticity. So, I mean, you actually start looking younger in your face and your skin. But the mitochondria and the ATP production is absolutely profound information, I think, because I can feel it in my body. I've been taking K2 now for nearly 3 years, and I can feel the energy. I can just feel it's just something that you can't really put your finger on it. You just feel that vitality.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And also as well, K2 has been proven that it's anti-cancer, and there's things called, you've probably heard of them before, antioxidants and oxidative stress, free radicals. All these things have an aging effect on the body. They shorten our biological clocks. They attack the mitochondria. So we're taking a vitamin that can have a preservative effect on a cellular level. Now, of course, we are made of cells. We have mitochondria. And one last piece of information about the mitochondria, Jaron. This is why it's so key in heart health. I mean, have a guess where the highest levels of mitochondria exist in the body.
Right.
In the heart cells. There are more mitochondria in the heart cells than any other part of the body. So you can see its correlation between increased ATP production and also cardiac output. Now, the last point on the cardiac output, reduced cardiac output, there is a correlation between reduced cardiac output and osteoporosis and aging and vascular stiffness and heart attack and calcification of the arteries.
Right.
So there is it's all linked together
right.
in why people become stiff, old, and what happens is you have a reduced cardiac output, you have less oxygen, and everything feeds off one another, and you suffer and you get old and you get stiff, and you have all sorts of issues over time.
Right. You're not getting enough blood to the areas that need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but this is a cellular mechanism, which the thing is as well, Jaron, right? K2 is so important to the body. There are key receptors built into our digestive systems, which are specifically created and there to accept K2 and shuttle it to the liver. Goes to the liver first, liver takes what it needs, then distributes it out to the rest of the system. How fascinating is this? K2 recycles itself 1,000 times per molecule. This is why we don't need that much of it for it to do its job. It has a half-life. A half-life is how long a drug exists in the body, by the way. It's not some silly video game from a few years ago. Well, it might be that as well, but anyway.
Right.
Half-life, yeah, half-life lasts for 72 hours in the body.
Wow.
So it's fat-soluble vitamin. So when you guys take it, anyone's listening out there, you've got to take it with a meal. Ideally, that has fats in because the fat is required for absorption. You have to take it with a meal. It's not a water soluble. It's like vitamin D3 and K2 MK7 are both fat soluble vitamins. Have we got time just to go through about a couple of new discoveries of K2?
Oh, we're fine. Yeah, you keep going.
Thanks, Jared. So there's new discoveries of K2 because this, don't get me wrong, yeah, there's a lot of, like Jaron said earlier on at the beginning, yeah, there's a lot of great information out there, but I believe, and this is not the conspiracy theorist in me, this is me through researching this to death for 3 years, I believe that this information is being suppressed. It's certainly not being funded. It's certainly not being pushed by Big Pharma. I've spoken to doctors and dentists about K2 because K2 is fantastic for dental health. There was a gentleman called Dr. Weston Price who traveled all around the world nearly 100 years ago. He was a holistic dentist. He was an innovator in healthcare, and he was a visionary in human physiology. His knowledge has been forgotten, but people are finding this lost knowledge. Weston Price traveled all over the world taking photographs of indigenous tribes. And he went literally, you name it. He went to Mongolia. He went to Asia. He went to Swedish indigenous tribes, and he took photographs of people's teeth. And if anyone Googles Dr. Weston Price, you'll see loads of good-looking indigenous people smiling and showing the teeth. And he realised, even 100 years ago, I think it's like 90 years ago or something like that, he realised, even without sophisticated modern technology, Jared, he realised that it was something in the diet which was making these people look amazing. They don't live within 1,000 miles of a dentist. There's zero cavities or very little tooth decay. They've got wide dental arches, and they have excellent bone structures, great bone symmetry, healthy, natural people. And he figured out that it was something in the diet, and he actually replicated it, and he called it Activator X. And this is a long, long time ago, and it's forgotten knowledge. And he sold it in America. When he came back to America, he sold his magic potion, Activator X. Now, at the time, he did not know what was in the Activator X. Extremely high concentrations of vitamin K2, MK7, D3, and other fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and magnesium and various other trace minerals that we need. But the guys that discovered vitamin K got onto it through the work that Dr. Weston Price did. He's still got a foundation. He still has a foundation today. They're still doing great work, and it just shows that man's inquisitive mind can reveal truths of creation, which can have profound positive health effects for us. So I just wanted to get that in about Weston Price Foundation. I think it's a really important point.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially finding all that stuff in the indigenous people. I'm sure they didn't drink soda. They didn't do processed sugars. They didn't go through all the nonsense that we put our children through here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to give you an indication, very, very briefly, about how good an indigenous diet is. And I saw one of your subscribers in the chat before said, drink raw meat. Eat organelles. Drink raw milk. Take good doses of K2. Take good doses of D3. And he's absolutely right, in my opinion. We have to get back to the past, because those guys knew a thing or two about what was good for you. Now, just to give you a quick, if you want to just do a quick comparison, if you look, for example, at native Eskimos, right, which is an indigenous group, and obviously they eat a lot of blubber and fat-soluble vitamins and all that good stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you compare the number of decays in a population through indigenous to modern, in the Eskimos, you've got 0.09 of dental cavities and dental issues, as opposed to 13% in modern. In the Northern Indians, you had 0.16 compared to 21.5 in modern. The Seminole Indians, 4 compared to 40 in modern. The Polynesians, 0.32 versus 21.9%. So what I'm saying is, this is tooth decay in a population, between the indigenous versus the modern. The indigenous people know a thing or two about what's good for you.
But they're not drinking fluoridated water. So
terrible. Unbelievable.
I thought we need fluoride in our water so that our teeth will be in good health.
You know what? We've been missing a trick, haven't we, all these years, Jared? We need to get back on that fluoride train.
Yeah, I need to get back on it.
Absolutely. And the minute they take these indigenous people out of the tribes, westernize them, introduce them to the satanic clown, 5 years later, they're obese, ill, and sick, and the teeth are falling out. But, there you go.
Right.
So, some new discoveries of vitamin K2. It's been shown in studies, extensive work, that it can actually fight against neurodegenerative diseases. So we're talking neuropathies like tingling nerves and Parkinson's disease, And this is extremely important information. It's actually shown that it can fight against these specific neurodegenerative diseases by taking a vitamin pill. K2 can also help in the regrowing of tooth enamel and dentine, and it reduces bleeding gums and other dental issues, what we were just discussing with the work of the famous Dr. Weston Price. K2 is also vital in something called cranial development in fetus and young children. How it works is when a woman gives birth, she takes all her K2, she'll be deficient. The next child usually will not have a symmetrical jawbone or as healthy teeth as his older sibling. So if any woman's out there, I would definitely say to them, get on the K2 if you're pregnant, because it will help in cranial development in children in the womb. And there's strong evidence that facial symmetry and strong bones in children is supported by the function of K2. And we've mentioned obviously the anti-aging properties. We've mentioned that it provides there's a crucial role against oxidative stress and free radicals. And we've mentioned about the significant, there's also a significant role in human reproduction. K2 has shown that it increases the good bacteria in the mouth and reduces the bad bacteria. That was done in a separate study. And that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing to have, your biome in the right, because we've got, we're a universe in ourselves where we need the microbiome. It makes all our, it creates all our endorphins for us, serotonin, and they're like little, it's like a little production. I don't know if you've ever heard of the second brain research that's been done, Jaron. It's called the second brain.
I can't. How are you saying it? Bread?
Brain. Sorry, brain. Sorry,
brain.
My accent.
Gotcha.
Brain.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, they've done studies where they found that there's more neurons in the gut than there is in the spinal cord. The only place where there's more neurons is in the brain, but there's actually more neurons in the guts than there is in the spinal column. So there's so much that we don't know about what the truth is in relation to the human body, how it synergistically works with vitamins, food nutrients, and it's our overall well-being. So I believe that this K2 is a key player in the fight, in the preventative, in preventing all these ailments that have cursed the Western populations the past 100 years or so.
Yeah, gut health importance has definitely been something that's left behind. That I'm hearing about it a little bit more now, but I definitely think it's important. And Sophia Smallstorm talks a lot about it with some of the stuff that she sells on her site. It's certainly important to your digestion. We know that, but your immune system is also based around your gut health. It's hugely important.
Absolutely. So a quick question you could ask yourself is, why do we need to supplement K2? Like you said earlier on, I think you hit the nail on the head. In Western populations, vitamin K2 deficiency is very, very common. We talk about the undercarboxylated osteocalcin test, which proves without a shadow of a doubt that 90% of the population are deficient in K2. Available data suggests that that we need to really, we have to supplement it. For example, if you will, it is available in natural foods, but in such low levels, it won't have the desired effect. So we really need to supplement it. There's no side effects whatsoever to K2, by the way, Jerry. None.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple doctors talking about that there's no recommended daily value, but there's no overdose possibilities either.
Absolutely correct. And I'll get onto dosages shortly, but you're absolutely right. There is one stipulation that K2 can antagonize warfarin or coumadin class blood thinning medication. So what I'll say to anyone listening out there is, look, I'm not a doctor, but please do not just go out. If you're on warfarins or coumadins or any of those class, and I've got notes in this presentation about that, please seek professional advice before embarking on supplementing K2. because we wouldn't want anyone to get sick out there. There's no direct link that K2 does, but there has been cases where it can antagonize K1, and K2 is very close relation. So I just wanted to throw that out just for the safety side of things.
Right. Mostly K1, though, right? The K2, MK7 is what I'm pretty sure I heard two heart doctors basically saying that they didn't think there was any.
Yeah.
But again, we're not doctors. This is health advice, not medical advice. So if you take
absolutely, absolutely. And you know what, Jaron? There's some really esteemed cardiologists out there. We're talking double PhD type guys that I've got in the show notes. Have you heard me?
Wow.
What is this? Westworld show notes. What? No, I'll tell you what. In the presentation notes, there's some really. I think I put really good selection, like a playlist of really, really cool videos. There's like little short 5-minute videos, and there's like for the geeks in us, there's like some 2-hour podcast type videos as well. Explaining K2 a lot more eloquently than I can, that's for sure.
And just so people know, if you scroll down in the description of this video, there is the link to this presentation, and in the presentation are all those links to the videos he's talking about. So you can find all that stuff quite easily, and then also there's a link to his Twitter. And then also I did put a link as well to the Russian vids live stream that you did. So if people want to check that out.
Well, that's very gracious of you. Thank you.
Check that out too. Yeah. No, it was great, and it was great hearing you talk other conspiracies and fake news and things with Russian vids as always.
Oh, he's a legend, that guy. I'll tell you what, he's just a legend, isn't he? I love him. He's awesome.
He's great.
The world would be a poorer place without Russian vids in it.
For sure. Nope, his heart's definitely in the right place, and he's exposing things I never thought I'd be exposed to. And, sometimes you hear him say something, you're like, come on, that can't be right. Do your own research, and then you find out, damn, this guy's onto something. So, no, he's awesome.
To be fair, yeah, absolutely. To be fair, I mean, you do fantastic work. I mean, I've been following you for years, as you know. And I try and take the good from all you guys and try and just build my own worldview. And it's very, without truthers out there doing what you do, we will be in the dark, especially in these, may I say, satanic times that we're living in now. So you guys are doing a fantastic job.
It's great to hear you say that, because that's what I encourage everyone to do, and it's what I do as well. I listen to a lot of different shows, watch a lot of different people, and I take the good from them, and if they say something I don't agree with or whatever, you just push that to the side and you build your own worldview from there, and you feel so much better to know why you believe what you do, and you're comfortable in your stance. Whereas before, when I was just asleep, if you want to say that, I didn't have a clue why I believed anything, and I walked through life truly like a zombie.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Jaron, right, I might not agree with everything that you say, but that does not matter. It doesn't matter, because I can take the stuff that I do agree with. It's only an opinion. It's not objective facts.
Right.
It's an opinion. But even the stuff that I don't agree with, I'll sit on it for 6 months. And you know what? A lot of the times you've actually brought me around, and I'm like, actually, Jaron had a point there. I've changed my mind. So our initial emotional response is usually incorrect. But of course, the media knows this. That's why they elicit immediate emotional responses out of us, because that's how they get the sheep to stay in the pens and all the rest of it. But anyway, I don't mean to digress.
No, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, that's something that I've been surprised at other people, or people in the chat, maybe not today, but just people in the chat in general or in comments who get so frustrated and upset when you say something that they don't align with. And it's like, man, if you are in this truth-seeking community, if you are awake, if people want to call it that, if you're a truth seeker, if there's one thing that we've learned, it's that any new information will always be blocked by your mind, by your mindset. That it's just a defense mechanism, truly, cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to call it. It's that initial block, and we have to get past that. So sometimes you have to hear something, and you just, if it's not something that you agree with right away, you go, I don't know about that. I'll look into it. I'll think about it. And sometimes down the road, you all of a sudden realize that you were wrong, and that seems to happen so much that for me to hear anything from anyone and just say, absolutely not, I'm not believing it, is a little bit crazy. You have to take it all in and then build your worldview from there. Also, sometimes I take it in, what I hear people say, and I say, I haven't seen any evidence of that yet, really, but now I'm open to looking for that evidence, and that's huge to me.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. Is that
I've heard you say that so many times as well.
Well, think about
honestly,
think about
you're getting better as you're getting better, in my opinion, as you're getting older.
Right. No, yeah, and I think we all should, right? I mean, that's the way it should go. But there's so many things like, I don't know, seeing globes in every movie and TV show and how prevalent that all is, and the indoctrination to children. You just have to think back that before you were awake to that, you didn't see any of it. So it's the same thing, whereas if I hear something now, I may think to myself, I haven't seen any evidence of that. Well, that's because I haven't been looking for evidence of that. So I have to
it's called positive recognition, that is, by the way. That's actually a scientific thing.
Right.
Positive recognition.
So then once you hear these things, once you're open to it, now you can walk through the world and look for signs of it. And that's sometimes so revealing because those things are hidden. And that's why the mainstream media, like you said, your Saturday night or your weeknight news, whatever, when you watch that stuff and they put these things out to you in constant form, they just become part of your belief system, even though you've never actually gone out and looked for evidence of it.
Absolutely.
Just think of the corona.
Absolutely.
I mean, this became everyone's regular when they didn't go out and actually do any of the research themselves or actually look into it. They just believe everything. The media tells them to stay home. Everybody's dying. Hospitals are full. And that's what they'll say, and that's what they'll tell their friends. Well, have you heard that the hospitals are overrun? They've had to set up beds in Central Park for all these patients. That all the hospitals are overflowing, and unless you do any other research further than that, that becomes your truth, sadly.
Absolutely. It's a dogmatic approach, and it permeates the subconscious initially, and then it makes its way into the conscious mind, and then they take that as the gospel.
Right.
This is the narratives, and the thing is about the elites, and I won't go on. I'll get back to the K2, but the elites are absolute experts. They've been at this for thousands of years. They are cold, calculated. They have the resources to know exactly what buttons to press,
right.
And we have to, I believe, as independent, conscious beings with a soul and a right to exist and have a decent life for ourselves and our families, we have to resist it. And if that resistance is sharing a K2 presentation, so be it. If that's resistance in the work that you do, Jeren, the work that Russian Vids does, but don't just sit back and be a passive consumer of truth. Try and do a little bit of something, even if it's just like planting a few seeds when you're having a hike or a walk. Because believe me, you plant those seeds and they can turn into oak trees down the line. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. You're not going to turn anybody on day one. It's just not going to happen. And you have to recognize that. And I've gotten so many emails from people that have said that exact thing. I thought you were crazy. I laughed at you. I told friends to watch you. I thought this guy was hilarious. I watched for another week. I watched for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, I started thinking about you at work. All of a sudden, I started listening more, and then I sent this email to apologize to you because all these things are starting to ring true. Yeah. And you're absolutely right about the elite and everything. They've built their entire education system around the idea that truth comes in the form of somebody stands at the front of the room, they tell you all the answers, and then your job is to regurgitate them. So we can't really blame ourselves, and that's why it's hard to blame a lot of Globers or people who may have different opinions or these people we call asleep. It's hard to blame them when you remember that this is how they were trained. This is how they were taught. This is how they were indoctrinated to believe that truth comes in that form. And so you would never think truth would come from some YouTube video. You would never think truth would come from some conversation that you're having with somebody on the street because you weren't taught that. You were taught that truth comes from the teacher who stands at the front of the classroom, that truth comes from that school book, and there's no truth that can come any other way.
Absolutely. And my last point on this, and I'll get back to the presentation, Jeren, but every human being, in my opinion, not just my opinion, but this is my own belief, is a unique individual with gifts, abilities, and talents. And there is no such thing as a normal person, right? That is the elite brainwashing you into submission to be a slave in their machinery. Mm-hmm. So you pay your taxes and you act like a good little slave. You'll get your little rewards now and again. Let me tell you something. There is more power in human consciousness than you can possibly imagine. And as truthers, it is our job to spread the word and to help people wake up, not make them wake up. That's a decision that I believe is spiritual, and that is not actually down to us. We can only provide the information, but there's more power. There's more power in a human being than people could possibly fathom,
Absolutely.
in my opinion.
No, and it's. I don't even know how you can call that an opinion. It's almost a fact, because they want people smart enough to run their machines, their businesses, but just dumb enough that they can't see their own enslavement. And boy, have they done a good job at that. So it's great to be part of a community of people waking up. And you're absolutely right about unique individuals. We're all unique, and I try and voice that all the time, that people think that if they've got a different opinion than somebody else, that there's a problem there. I don't see it that way. I just look at everybody's opinion, and it's fine. If people want to believe something different than me, that's great. I really wish people would see how the world would be a terrible place to live if we all believed the exact same thing. If we all had the exact same desires, and that's it. That's all it was. Well, what would be the point of having a conversation with anybody? You would already know what they believe. What would be the point of asking somebody, what do you want to do for dinner? If you already know? Everybody eats the same thing. We all like macaroni and cheese. That's it. You know, I like the idea of we're all unique people. We all have unique ideas, and we all have powers that you could bring to each individual conversation or situation, and that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, a quick shout out to Brian Stavely and Karen B. Love your work. You're doing a fantastic job.
These guys are awesome.
Now back to the totally awesome. Love that guy. He's such a funny guy as well. He's got such a great sense of humor. But back to the K2, Jared. With regards to health, I believe that they want to physically keep us just between life and death. Where you're like, you can just about get out of bed in the morning and go and do the job, and then just about get home at night, kick your shoes off and watch some pre-recorded satanic TV show with subliminal esoteric brainwashing. You've just about got enough. You've just got about enough energy in the day to do that, right? Now, I believe that if we learn about, distilling water, filtering air, taking the metals out of the water, taking the correct exercise, having the correct supplements and nutrients, eating clean, and getting sunshine, we can rise up to some of our potential. Not maybe our full potential, but I'd take some of our potential any day of the week compared to where the elites want us to be. Now, foods that contain K2, dark chicken meat contains K2, goose liver contains K2, hard cheeses contain K2, and like you said earlier, natto. Natto is a fermented soybean. That's a delicacy in Japan. It has very high levels of natto, of K2, MK7 within it, but it's stinky and horrible, and it's not for my Western palate, unfortunately.
Right.
Because
everything I've heard about it is disgusting.
Oh, it's honestly, it is disgusting, but it's really good for you, like cod liver oil. It's disgusting, but good for you. And the thing is, this is what I say from my research that I've done. This is what I take something, and I've got it in the notes. What I take as well in my professionally produced presentation.
Hey, it looks great. Nobody can tell the difference. Come on, it's great.
Copy and paste, left click. But it's totally awesome because I take like a whole food version where they actually grow the K2 on the soy and then harvest it, granulate it, take the horrible, nasty yuckiness and natto out of it, and then shove it in a pill. And that's how I take mine. So I get 100% absorption. Regarding doses, I take 100 micrograms a day, which has been proven to be a very effective dose. Bearing in mind the Rotterdam study, Jaron, was only 45 micrograms, and you're getting 50% reduction in cardiovascular disease and a 25% reduction in mortality and all the things we've covered. So there has been studies that for every extra 50 micrograms that you take, you get profound improvements. Some people, and
so
this will lead me on to the next slide.
You said you take 100?
Yeah, I take D3 and K2. I take 4,000 IUs of D3, and I take 100 micrograms of K2 in a little pill, in a little vitamin pill, which is a whole food, non-animal. It's actually vegan. I'm not a vegan myself, but it is vegan. No animals were injured in the process of creating that vitamin that I take.
Good. Okay.
Now, so you can get it. And by the way, Jared, a lot of people, I'm not one of them. I've not looked into it yet. I do filter water, filter my air and stuff like that. But a lot of people are actually fermenting their own foods now as well. It's like a thing apparently, where people are learning to grow their own foods and also fermenting because people are realizing the health benefits from doing that.
From the probiotic, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if you don't mind, I just want to get into this testimonial, which is absolutely mind-blowing, about what taking K2 did to a guy called, I think his name is Dave Williams.
Okay.
If we've got time, I'll just paraphrase it a little bit.
Sure. No, you can read it. We're not in any rush.
Okay, cool. This testimonial, and I've put a couple of testimonials from real people, real stories about the effects that it's had in their lives through taking a little tiny micronutrient called K2. So this was a guy called Dave Williams, and he got this is just absolutely mind-blowing in relation to how corrupt big pharma are, how inept they are, how lacking in true knowledge they actually are, to the point of telling a patient to go home and wait for a heart attack. There's nothing we can do. So this testimonial, and I'll read it out to the listeners and to yourself. So it's I use vitamin K2, MK7, and natural vitamin C to clean 2 of my 4 heart arteries completely of plaque. Previously, I had two stents installed in my LAD Widowmaker, and while in the catheterization lab, the surgeon told me I had severe calcification of the other 3 arteries, at least 65% blocked, and the lesions, which is inflammation caused by the calcium block, would rupture and probably kill me. I am a 78-year-old retired airline pilot and asked what I could do to remove the plaque. The surgeon said, "There's nothing we can do." But looking on the NIH publication site, where there are 2 articles on K2, or menaquinone, as it is called, one from Krakow, Poland, and the other from Rotterdam, Amsterdam. Those 2 countries do not depend on the profit motive drug companies to do their drug studies. The government ran universities to do the testing, and their research proved that vitamin K2 does remove calcium from the arteries, and that calcium mixed with a little cholesterol is the primary blocking agent. It is not cholesterol alone, as the US drug companies want us to believe. And Dr. Linus Pauling won 2 Nobel Prizes working with natural vitamin C. He said natural vitamin C would work like Roto-Rooter, removing plaque from our arteries. So I took both. 2 vitamin K2 in the morning, 2 at noon, and 2 in the evening. I took K2 as MK7 because the MK7 version stays in our bloodstream longer and works better. We do not store vitamin C, or most antibodies in our bodies will be taken out to have the effect. So each night I mix 1.5 teaspoons of natural vitamin C and orange pill, and the orange pill that is not vitamin C, using Acerola cherry powder. I mixed the cherry powder in 6 bottles of flavored water and drank all 6 the following day. After 6 months, I went to the local hospital for a calcium score. My calcium score showed 2 major arteries, there are 4, completely clear of plaque. The surgeon verified that they were 65% blocked 6 months prior. The cardiologist was completely stunned and asked the hospital to check the accuracy of the X-ray equipment. 1 other artery had a small amount of calcium plaque, and the 4th, the one with the 2 stents, still has severe plaque. So I am continuing the self-help treatment, and we'll do another calcium score in May or June. But a carotid study of my 2nd carotid arteries showed them completely clean. And I have stopped passing kidney stones, which have been a problem for the past 10 years. And my joint pain is gone. No more hip, neck, shoulder, or back pain. I no longer have to take strong opioids for pain, and I can return to playing golf and fishing again. Vitamin K2, MK7, and natural vitamin C has restored my life. That's basically the testimony.
And I can definitely say that when I was looking at this on Amazon and looking at a lot of the reviews before I decided to have you on, I saw the same thing. Tons of people, which is why I thought this was great information that needed to get out to everybody. So people can check it out themselves. Obviously, there's lots of links in this presentation, and then you can just search it on YouTube, search it on Google, and then go to Amazon and look around and look at some of the verified purchase, testimonials.
Absolutely. I mean, the key thing there, Jared, very briefly, is this guy was 78, a retired professional man that's worked hard all his life. And the cardiologist told him, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
We don't have the technology. We don't have the knowledge to help you. We can't help you. All we can do is put stents in. Stents only stabilize. And that testimonial, if that doesn't grab your attention, it's phenomenal. There's other testimonials about healing people's teeth and about back pain going. There's one from a lady who's been able to stand up straight for the first time in 20 years. It just goes on and on and on. And, all these people can't be wrong, can they?
No, I don't think so.
The scientific studies can't be wrong. And, it's just absolutely fantastic to be have the privilege of coming on your show. And thank you so much for being able to get this message out in my English Northern way.
No, I thought it was
I'm
great.
not a professional YouTuber, so I hope the info's coming across all right.
No, it's great. I think people understood it great. So my only question to you, just because I like to hear what other people are doing. So you're saying you take one pill of K2 MK7, which is 100 micrograms, and then you take one pill that's vitamin D3 at 4,000 IU?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There's my brand. By the way, there's no Jeff Bezos affiliate links in this.
Right.
We're not making money from the Illuminati or anything like that. I don't. There's no marketing links or anything like that. I've done that on purpose. I don't even have my name is not on this presentation. I only want to spread this knowledge. That's the only thing I want to do. And
thank you for that.
Thanks to guys like yourself and Russian Vid, you've really helped me try and get this knowledge out there. This is the brand that I take, Jared. It's called Cytoplan. It's a UK charitable organisation, actually. And I don't know whether you can get it in the States, but I do know that you can get K2 on GNC. You can get it from eBay. You can get it from reputable drugstores. Now, what I would say is once you can take K2, right? I would say have 100 micrograms K2 a day with at least 2,000 IUs. If you live in a sunny environment and you get into regular sunshine, you'll be all right with 2,000 IUs of D3, I think. But if you're living in like the north of England like I do, or you live in, or you're covered up a lot of the time, you don't have access to a garden, or you can get 3 hours of sunshine a day, you would probably want to take combined 4,000 IUs of D3 and 100 micrograms of K2. And I put in my little slideshow there, you can see the exact how the composition of the vitamin there.
Gotcha. And did you have any other slides, or is that it?
Well, I've just put we've talked about is K2 safe. I've got a little slide on Dr. Weston Price.
Right.
I would greatly admire that man for what he did. He was an absolute visionary, in my opinion, and the opinion of many other people as well. That he realised the missing link between. He was the innovator in holistic dentistry. So he was saying 90 years ago, talking about how bad root canals are for people, which they are. Leaving a dead tooth in the body is not good for overall human health. And he knew that 90 years ago. He knew 90 odd years ago that there was something in the diet that was. Let me just give you a true stat off the top of my head. If you get a woman today, Jaron, right, who's postmenopausal woman, right, and you compare her bone mineral density to the same postmenopausal woman in an indigenous tribe, right now, I'm not talking 100 years ago, I'm talking right now, do you realise that there is the skeletal system, the bone mineral density of the woman in the indigenous tribe is 1,800% more dense than the skeletal system of the postmenopausal woman in the West.
Wow.
That's 1,800%.
Doesn't surprise me.
Hip fractures, hairline fractures, reduced mobility, hip replacements, knee replacements. All this is because there's not enough calcium going to the correct parts of the body, and this is where. Listen, guys, I'm not saying it's a miracle or cure for everything. I'm not a snake oil salesman. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is what Jaron's saying. I'm saying, drink clean water, breathe clean air, go out and have regular exercise, eat a relatively clean diet, don't have trans fats, forget about McDonald's, or if you really have to have one once a month. Get the fluids in the body that you need and do your own research. This is, it's like anything, it works in synergy. So you can't just, like Russian Bit said, you can't just eat McDonald's and expect K2 to do its job.
No.
You need to do everything. And that's what I love about your show as well, Jaron. You're always discussing topics which really matter as truthers.
Thank you. I
like
try and do
health
that.
really matters.
Yeah.
And I think I think many truthers really don't bother talking about health, but if we're dead, we're not going to be very good in our fight against the evil, satanic, tyrannical governments, are we?
No, and really, I hate to say it this way, but we have to live here. I mean, you don't have an option. You can't just leave unless you want to commit suicide, which I certainly don't think that's a good idea. So you have to live here, and if you're going to live here, you better be happy, you better be healthy, and you want to be healthy for your family. You want to be able to take care of your children. You want to be a good supporter, provider, friend, and lover to your spouse. So all those things definitely tell me that one of the most important things we can do is be healthy. And I know for everyone, you have to admit that when you're healthy, your life is 10 times better. There's nothing that can hurt your life more than being sick, more than being injured. I don't know. I threw out my back a while ago, and you real quick you realize, like, oh shit, like, I need to start stretching every morning just so this doesn't happen again, because you realize how affected your life can become, how miserable your life can become because of your health. I mean, it's just
Absolutely.
it's the biggest factor. I can't think of something bigger, to be honest. And when you start adding these things to your repertoire, when you distill your water, when you grow your own fruits and vegetables, when you eat from farmer's market and you know who you're getting your foods from, all of a sudden your life can turn around like nothing else. And yeah, you can still have a lot of other stuff to research, and it's still whether or not, where do we live, what is the shape of this place. Those things can take a second seat sometimes. When you're healthy, then you can get back to those things. So I think health is beyond important. I can't even begin to place an importance factor on it.
Oh, wow. We have to have our faculties more than I believe, especially now with these times that we're in now. We have to have our faculties.
Right.
We have to be able to. We have to be able to. I mean, apart from quality of life, we need to be as in tip-top condition as we can be, which is within reasonable limits. And not just that, when you're feeling good about yourself, you can go out and have a hike, you can play with your kids, you can push the little kids on the swing without getting out of breath. You can go for a swim, you can go for a jump. These things, they make you feel so much better. You don't need antidepressants. You don't need all these things that big pharma are making. They create the problems and then they come up with the solution, as we know. And I'm saying that, and Jaron's saying, and we are preaching from the hilltops. Look, guys, just educate, start taking, and start living that better life, because we need to be in better physical condition for, I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but there's probably tougher times on the horizon. So it might not be a bad to get to your fighting weight, as we say up north. You know what I mean?
And it's amazing the amount of people in the truth community who may not realize that those on the other side, if you want to say that, how many of them are drugged up. How many of them are on pills or on all this medication from doctors? And if you don't think those things go hand in hand, I got news for you. There's a reason why, some of us are clear-headed, and it's because we all aren't out there drugging ourselves. And like you said, antidepressants, Prozac, and all the drugs that they're, passing off as medication when they're nothing more than poison. So be careful out there. I mean, I definitely... I don't take anything. I won't even take really Advil, Tylenol, aspirin, anything like that. I just won't do it.
I'm absolutely same as you, Jared. I don't trust it. I won't take it. on the slide at the minute is this is my pretty much my complement of what I have. I have the apple cider vinegar, which is organic from the mother, as they say. I take organic vitamin C, which is made through. I have to take that because I have acid reflux, and that has reduced acid. So that's why I supplement that. I take my K2D3. I have zinc, whole food zinc, and I take something called Super Bs, which have magnesium, trace elements, iodine, all sorts of stuff in. So all sorts of little micronutrients and little minerals and things like that. So that's pretty much. It's not that comprehensive, really. And then I get my exercise and I eat pretty clean, you know. So that's pretty much.
Good.
That's pretty much my complement of supplements, really. To be honest with you, this is the link to there's some really useful links there, the video links, and then there's some studies and clinical trial links as well, and then there's the references to the presentation, and that's pretty much it, my friend. Really, to be honest with you, regarding the presentation, I could carry on talking about it for another 5 hours, but I don't want to send your listeners to sleep. You know.
That's right. I appreciate them. I appreciate you. Hopefully people are enjoying these Thursday kind of shows. I am. They may not be the topic that everybody wants to talk about, but right now I think health is of primary importance, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. It was great to hear you on Russian Vids, and really nice of you to reach out, and maybe we can even discuss the other topic that we discussed years ago sometime soon on one of these, because I think that's an important topic too. So really appreciate
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know the thing about the health as well, Jared. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, I can show people how to cure diabetes in 90%. I know how to do that through research. I cured my brother's diabetes through intermittent fasting within 3 months. So there's loads of, you know, whatever the big pharma tell you, you can't do. Oh, they tell us that diabetes is inherent and it's a lifelong condition. It needs to be managed by that's a lot of rubbish. You can cure diabetes within 2 or 3 months just through diet, 90% of times. But of course, they won't tell you that because they want us sick, fat, obese, ill, heart attack candidates waiting to happen. There's plenty more slaves where they came from. You know, it's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun with these so-called elites. And like I said to Russian Vids the other week, Jared, knowledge is power. We have to set ourselves free. We can't expect to be... Yeah, I do believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. I am a Christian, but I'm not here to preach that tonight. I'm here about self-empowerment, self-education, and making our lives better, doing what we can do within our own spheres.
Right. And yeah, all I care about is how people treat each other, you know, and how
absolutely,
you know, how they, you know, deal with one another. And it should be in a positive way. It should be upbuilding to people. And when you find somebody like you, Swazers, that's, you know, has some good information, I'm all for getting it out. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Anything else you wanted to say before we wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I know how hard you've worked building your channel over the years, Jaren, and you've earned every single one of your listeners. So to give me the opportunity to just come and piggyback and get this is very gracious of you. So thank you so much for that. Just one last thing for anyone listening: don't give in to fear. No. Don't let them win. Yeah, they want you to be scared, feel alone, like you don't matter. You do matter. Everyone is a beautiful individual person with their own consciousness, and we have to try and help each other in these tough times, back each other up. Love, not hate. It's all about love, and it's all about caring for each other, and not letting the bastards win. Excuse the French.
No problem. It's the truth. And yeah, big pharma's out there. They don't care about your health. You need to recognize that it's not you just need to think that they make their money off you being sick, not on you being well. So you have to understand that, accept that, realize that. And again, if you want to go to the doctor and put your your health in their hands, that's up to you. For me, I'm going to try and stay away from the doctor as long as possible, and one of the ways to do that is to be healthy in and of yourself, eat the right foods, like you said, and sometimes we need to supplement. So I can't wait to try this. People can, obviously I'm not going to be able to tell you in a week, but, in a month or so, I'll be able to tell people how I feel, if there's any improvements with taking this. because I don't take much at all and try to do everything through food, but I'm all for this, and it sounds great. And some of that stuff about pumping more blood through the body and those kind of things seem great. So I'm looking forward to trying it, and also adding some D3 as well, something else I think I can use. So appreciate everybody watching.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
sorry, Jared. By the way, one last point. It's quite cheap to buy. It's not that expensive. Sorry, I just wanted to get that in.
Right. And yeah, people hopefully can recognize that. And again, there's no affiliate links. Amazon kicked me off of their affiliate program anyway. So I can't
What a surprise.
Can't help
What
you
a
there.
surprise.
Yeah, right. I know. PayPal eliminates me. YouTube
Yeah,
deleting my
yeah.
videos. So it's fun. You just got to keep plugging ahead and trying to tell people to stay healthy and be mindful and navigate their way through this age of deception for sure. So if people want to support the channel, they can do so. They can go to patreon.com/jeranism, and always you have to thank all my patrons. They make this channel possible. Yeah. So thank you guys. If you want to mail me anything, you can do so at Jeranism P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California 95344. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Appreciate it so much. Thank you, Swazers, for being here, and hopefully we'll have you back soon, and we'll talk on another topic, yeah?
Thank you so much, Darren, and God bless to everybody out there.
All right, everybody, do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and don't watch the news. Turn it off, I implore you. All right, guys, it's been fun. We'll talk to you tomorrow with the Friday Lounge. We'll be back at 12 noon Pacific. See you then, and until then, this has been Jeranism. Peace.